The story of Pakistan's nuclear ambition is one born from the ashes of defeat and the shadow of a powerful neighbor. The year 1971 was a traumatic one for Pakistan. The secession of its eastern wing, which became the independent nation of Bangladesh, was not just a territorial loss. It was a profound national humiliation. The swift and decisive military victory by India in the war that facilitated this separation exposed Pakistan's conventional military vulnerabilities in a stark and undeniable way. This defeat left a deep scar on the national psyche, creating a powerful consensus among its leaders that they could never again allow the country to be so thoroughly overpowered. The very survival of the nation, they believed, was at stake. This sense of insecurity was dramatically amplified just a few years later. On May 18, 1974, India conducted its first nuclear test, codenamed Smiling Buddha. Although India officially framed it as a peaceful nuclear explosion, the world, and particularly Pakistan, saw it for what it was: the entry of its primary adversary into the exclusive club of nuclear-armed states. The strategic balance in South Asia had been irrevocably altered. For Pakistan, the threat was no longer just about conventional military inferiority. It was now existential. The fear was that India could use its nuclear capability as a shield for further conventional military actions, effectively blackmailing Pakistan into submission. The combination of the 1971 defeat and India's 1974 test created an inescapable political and security imperative. The quest for a nuclear weapon ceased to be a matter of choice and became one of necessity. It was seen as the ultimate guarantor of Pakistan's sovereignty and a necessary deterrent against what was perceived as an existential threat from India. The logic was simple and stark. If India had the bomb, Pakistan must have it too. This conviction set in motion a clandestine, decades-long effort that would reshape the geopolitical landscape of the region and the world, driven by a singular, unwavering goal. This powerful motivation galvanized the nation's political and scientific establishments. The program became a point of national pride, a symbol of defiance and technological prowess against overwhelming odds. It was a mission that transcended political divides, seen as essential for restoring the nation's honor and securing its future. The sentiment was that no cost was too high and no sacrifice too great to achieve this strategic parity. Pakistan was determined to rebalance the scales of power in South Asia, and the path it chose was the atomic one, a decision that would have far-reaching consequences for decades to come. In the wake of the 1971 war, it was the charismatic and determined Prime Minister, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who became the chief architect of Pakistan's nuclear weapons program. Bhutto was a man who understood the brutal realities of international power politics. He recognized that without a credible deterrent, Pakistan would forever remain at a strategic disadvantage. In a now famous statement, he declared that if India built the bomb, Pakistanis would eat grass or leaves, even go hungry, but they would get one of their own. This was not mere political rhetoric. It was a solemn pledge that would define his legacy and set the country on an irreversible course. Just weeks after the fall of Dhaka, in January 1972, Bhutto convened a secret meeting of Pakistan's top scientists in the city of Multan. The gathering was shrouded in secrecy, its purpose known only to a select few. There, he laid out the challenge in clear and unequivocal terms. He wanted an atomic bomb, and he wanted it within 3 years. He asked the assembled scientists if it was possible, and when they affirmed that it was, he gave them his full and unwavering support. This meeting marked the official, high-level political decision to pursue a nuclear weapon, transforming a theoretical desire into a state-sponsored, top-priority national project. Bhutto's leadership was instrumental in mobilizing the necessary resources and providing the political will to see the project through its difficult early stages. He understood that this monumental task would require immense financial investment, scientific expertise, and a great deal of diplomatic maneuvering. He established the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission as the primary body responsible for the program and empowered its leaders to act decisively. His government began to quietly allocate funds and lay the groundwork for a vast and complex enterprise, all while maintaining a veneer of focusing on peaceful nuclear energy to avoid international scrutiny and sanctions. His commitment never wavered, even in the face of immense international pressure. Bhutto saw the nuclear program as his most important contribution to the nation's long-term security. He believed it was the only way to ensure that the humiliation of 1971 would never be repeated. He famously wrote from his prison cell before his execution that the program was our most difficult and fateful decision. His vision and relentless drive provided the initial momentum that was essential for the program's success, making him the undisputed political father of Pakistan's atomic bomb. While Zulfikar Ali Bhutto provided the political will, the technical breakthrough for Pakistan's nuclear program came from an unlikely source: a brilliant and ambitious Pakistani metallurgist working in Europe named Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan. Khan was employed in the early 1970s at a subcontractor for Urenco, a European consortium designed to produce enriched uranium for nuclear power plants. Working at a facility in the Netherlands, he gained access to some of the most advanced and highly classified technology of the time. The designs for gas centrifuges, the sophisticated machines used to enrich uranium to weapons-grade levels. This was the key that Pakistan had been missing. Following India's nuclear test in 1974, a patriotic A.Q. Khan felt compelled to act. He wrote a letter directly to Prime Minister Bhutto, offering his unique expertise and access to help Pakistan build its own bomb. He explained that Pakistan's existing plutonium-based approach was slow and difficult, while the uranium enrichment path using centrifuges was a faster and more viable route to a nuclear weapon. Bhutto, recognizing the immense value of Khan's offer, invited him back to Pakistan. In December 1975, Khan returned to his homeland, not empty-handed, but with a treasure trove of stolen knowledge, including centrifuge blueprints, photographs, and a detailed list of suppliers for the necessary components. Khan's arrival marked a pivotal turning point. He effectively brought the core technology for uranium enrichment directly to Pakistan, allowing the country to leapfrog years of research and development. He possessed not just the theoretical knowledge, but the practical details of how to build, operate, and cascade thousands of centrifuges to produce highly enriched uranium. This insider knowledge was priceless. He knew which companies in Europe and elsewhere manufactured the specialized parts, from high-strength metals to vacuum pumps, and he understood how to procure them without raising suspicion. Upon his return, Khan was given extraordinary authority and resources to establish a dedicated enrichment program. He was a man in a hurry, driven by a fierce sense of nationalism and personal ambition. He argued that the existing scientific bureaucracy was too slow and that a new, more dynamic organization was needed. Bhutto agreed, and this led to the creation of a new facility under Khan's direct control. A.Q. Khan's daring act of industrial espionage provided the critical shortcut that put Pakistan on the fast track to becoming a nuclear power, making him the celebrated father of the country's uranium enrichment program. With A.Q. Khan's expertise secured, the next crucial step was to build a physical home for the ambitious uranium enrichment program. A secluded and easily defensible location was chosen in the foothills near Islamabad, at a place called Kahuta. In 1976, under Khan's leadership, the Engineering Research Laboratories was established on this site. The facility, which would later be renamed the Khan Research Laboratories in his honor, was designed for one primary purpose: to house the thousands of gas centrifuges needed to enrich uranium. Construction began with incredible speed and secrecy, shielded from the prying eyes of foreign intelligence agencies. The real genius of the operation lay not just in building the facility, but in creating the vast, clandestine international supply chain needed to equip it. Pakistan did not have the industrial capacity to manufacture all the highly specialized components required for the centrifuges. A.Q. Khan activated the network of contacts he had cultivated during his time in Europe. He established a global web of front companies, agents, and middlemen to purchase the necessary parts. These included vacuum pumps, special-grade steel, magnets, and precision manufacturing equipment, all sourced from various companies across Europe, North America, and Asia, often without the sellers knowing their true end use. This covert procurement network was a masterpiece of deception and logistical coordination. Orders were broken down into smaller, less suspicious quantities and purchased through different front companies to avoid triggering export controls. Components were often transshipped through cities like Dubai to obscure their final destination. Khan's team demonstrated remarkable ingenuity in acquiring these dual-use technologies, which could be used for civilian purposes but were essential for their secret military program. This global shopping spree was vital, as it allowed Pakistan to build a sophisticated industrial facility that was far beyond its domestic manufacturing capabilities at the time. Over the next several years, the Kahuta facility grew into a sprawling, heavily guarded complex. Inside its walls, Pakistani scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to assemble and operate the centrifuges based on the designs Khan had provided. It became the nerve center of the country's nuclear weapons effort, a symbol of national determination hidden away from the world. The successful establishment of Kahuta and its intricate supply network was a monumental achievement, proving that a developing nation, through a combination of espionage, ingenuity, and sheer will, could acquire the most guarded technology on the planet. The establishment of the Kahuta facility set the stage for a rapid series of technical breakthroughs. The primary goal was to master the difficult process of uranium enrichment, and A.Q. Khan's team made remarkably swift progress. By 1978, just 2 years after the facility was founded, Pakistan achieved its first major milestone, the successful enrichment of uranium. While this initial product was not yet at the level required for a weapon, it was a crucial proof of concept. It demonstrated that the centrifuges were working and that the scientific principles were sound. This early success provided a tremendous boost of confidence to the entire program and validated the decision to pursue the uranium route. The pace of progress only accelerated from there. The team worked to refine the process, building and connecting more centrifuges into complex cascades to gradually increase the concentration of the fissile U-235 isotope. The next critical threshold was reached in 1982 when the Kahuta facility successfully produced weapon-grade highly enriched uranium, or HEU. This was the moment Pakistan crossed the nuclear threshold in a technical sense. It now possessed the primary fissile material needed to construct a nuclear bomb. The country had moved from a theoretical capability to a practical one, joining a very small group of nations with this ability. With a steady supply of HEU becoming available, the focus expanded to include the design and engineering of a deliverable nuclear weapon. By the mid-1980s, Kahuta was operating thousands of centrifuges, producing enough fissile material for several bombs per year. This industrial-scale production allowed weapon designers to move forward with confidence. It is widely believed that by 1986, Pakistani scientists had successfully produced their first nuclear warheads. While these devices were not tested, the capability to assemble and detonate a nuclear weapon was now firmly in place. This was a closely guarded secret, but it fundamentally changed Pakistan's strategic posture. Although Pakistan did not publicly declare its capabilities, hints began to emerge. In 1988, the powerful army chief, General Mirza Aslam Beg, confirmed in an interview that Pakistan had the technical ability to build and assemble a nuclear device whenever it wished. This was a subtle but clear signal to the world, and especially to India, that the strategic equation had changed. The journey that began with Bhutto's vow in 1972 had, in just over a decade, resulted in a credible, albeit undeclared, nuclear deterrent. The race to enrichment had been won, and Pakistan was now a de facto nuclear power. While Abdul Qadir Khan's espionage provided the means for uranium enrichment, Pakistan's nuclear program did not develop in a vacuum. It received significant and honestly crucial assistance from an important strategic ally, the People's Republic of China. The Sino-Pakistani relationship, often described as an all-weather friendship, was forged in the crucible of shared geopolitical interests, particularly a mutual rivalry with India. This strategic alignment extended into the sensitive domain of nuclear technology, with China providing support that proved indispensable to the rapid success of Pakistan's program, especially in the critical area of weapon design. One of the most significant contributions from China was likely the transfer of a proven nuclear warhead design. Building and testing a reliable implosion device is an incredibly complex scientific and engineering challenge. According to numerous intelligence assessments, China provided Pakistan with the blueprints for a device it had already successfully tested back in 1966. This was a compact, relatively simple, and reliable uranium implosion weapon designed to be carried by a missile. This transfer of knowledge saved Pakistan years of painstaking research, development, and testing, allowing it to bypass many of the difficult steps involved in weaponization. Beyond the warhead design, China's assistance is believed to have included other vital components and materials. This support allegedly ranged from providing a quantity of highly enriched uranium, which helped Pakistan calibrate its own enrichment equipment and jumpstart its program, to supplying specialized materials like tritium, which is used to boost the yield of nuclear weapons. China also reportedly assisted with conducting cold tests, which are non-nuclear explosions of the conventional explosives package used to trigger a fission reaction. These tests are essential for ensuring that the implosion mechanism of a bomb works precisely as designed. This collaboration was a closely guarded secret, officially denied by both governments for decades. However, the evidence of this deep cooperation is widely accepted by international security experts. For China, a nuclear-armed Pakistan served its strategic interests by creating a significant counterweight to India in South Asia, bogging down a regional rival. For Pakistan, China's help was a lifeline. It provided the final, critical pieces of the nuclear puzzle, complementing the enrichment technology acquired by Abdul Qadir Khan and ensuring that the country could not only produce fissile material, but could also confidently build a workable and deliverable nuclear weapon. For more than a decade, Pakistan maintained a policy of nuclear ambiguity, possessing a credible deterrent but refraining from openly demonstrating it. This delicate balance was shattered in May 1998. On May 11th and 13th, India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, conducted a series of 5 nuclear tests at its Pokhran test site. The move stunned the world and presented Pakistan with a direct and unavoidable challenge. The Indian tests were seen in Islamabad not just as a scientific achievement, but as a flagrant assertion of regional dominance, forcing Pakistan's hand and creating immense domestic pressure to respond in kind. The international community, led by the United States, immediately urged restraint, offering Pakistan a combination of security assurances and economic incentives to forego its own tests. However, the political pressure within Pakistan was immense. The public, the military, and the political establishment were nearly unanimous in their belief that a failure to respond would be perceived as a sign of weakness, emboldening India and destroying the credibility of Pakistan's deterrent. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was faced with an agonizing decision: bow to international pressure and risk national security and political survival, or conduct the tests and face certain international sanctions and isolation. After 2 weeks of intense deliberation, Pakistan made its choice. On May 28, 1998, the country announced that it had successfully conducted 5 nuclear tests of its own. The tests were carried out in the remote Roscoe Hills in the province of Balochistan. The ground shook as Pakistan crossed the nuclear Rubicon, ending its policy of ambiguity and officially declaring itself the world's 7th nuclear-armed state. 2 days later, on May 30th, it conducted a 6th and final test. The message to India and the world was loud and clear. Pakistan possessed a demonstrated nuclear capability and was prepared to use it to defend its sovereignty. The 1998 tests, codenamed Chagai 1 and Chagai 2, were a moment of profound national pride and celebration within Pakistan. But they triggered immediate and harsh international condemnation and economic sanctions. While Western experts disputed the number of devices and the claimed explosive yields, the fundamental reality was undeniable. The tests confirmed what had long been suspected. Pakistan's nuclear program was real, mature, and successful. The nuclearization of South Asia was now a stark and public fact, ushering in a new and more dangerous chapter in the long-standing rivalry between India and Pakistan. As of 2025, Pakistan's nuclear arsenal has grown significantly since its public debut in 1998. It is now estimated to possess over 170 nuclear warheads, making its arsenal one of the fastest-growing in the world. This stockpile is designed to be a credible deterrent against its much larger neighbor, India. The delivery systems are diverse and mobile, primarily consisting of short and medium-range ballistic missiles like the Shaheen and Gauri series, as well as cruise missiles like the Babur and Ra'ad, which can be launched from the ground, sea, or air. This nuclear triad ensures that Pakistan maintains a second strike capability, meaning it could retaliate even after suffering a first strike. Unlike some other nuclear powers, Pakistan has deliberately chosen not to adopt a comprehensive, publicly declared nuclear doctrine. Instead, it maintains a policy of strategic ambiguity or credible minimum deterrence. The government does not specify the exact conditions under which it might use nuclear weapons, believing that this uncertainty enhances their deterrent effect. By keeping its adversary guessing about its red lines, Pakistan aims to prevent any form of military aggression, whether conventional or nuclear. This ambiguity is a cornerstone of its national security strategy, designed to provide maximum deterrence with a limited yet effective arsenal. A key element of Pakistan's stance is its explicit rejection of a no-first-use policy. While countries like China and India have pledged not to be the first to use nuclear weapons in a conflict, Pakistan has consistently refused to make such a commitment. This position was publicly reaffirmed by a top nuclear command advisor in May 2024. The logic behind this stance is rooted in the conventional military imbalance with India. Pakistani strategists argue that the option to use nuclear weapons first is essential to deter a large-scale conventional Indian attack that could threaten Pakistan's existence. This first-use option is the ultimate trump card against a superior conventional force. Furthermore, since 2011, Pakistan has invested heavily in the development of short-range tactical nuclear weapons, such as the Nasar missile. These low-yield battlefield weapons are intended to counter India's cold start doctrine, which envisions swift, limited incursions into Pakistani territory. The introduction of tactical nuclear weapons lowers the threshold for nuclear use and has raised significant concerns about escalation control in a potential conflict. Pakistan's modern nuclear posture is therefore dynamic and multifaceted, relying on ambiguity, a first-use option, and a growing arsenal of both strategic and tactical weapons to ensure its security in a volatile region. The story of how Pakistan built its nuclear arsenal is a compelling testament to national will, scientific ingenuity, and geopolitical maneuvering. What began as a desperate response to national trauma and a perceived existential threat has evolved into a formidable nuclear enterprise that fundamentally defines Pakistan's identity and its place in the world. The program achieved its primary objective. It created a powerful deterrent that re-established a strategic balance with India, effectively making a full-scale conventional war between the two nuclear-armed rivals unthinkable. For Pakistan, the bomb is the ultimate insurance policy for its sovereignty. However, this achievement has come at a significant cost. The clandestine nature of the program, particularly the activities of the Abdul Qadir Khan network in proliferating nuclear technology to countries like North Korea, Iran, and Libya, has done lasting damage to Pakistan's international reputation. It has faced sanctions, isolation, and persistent concerns about the security of its nuclear materials. The nation is in a perpetual balancing act, managing its status as a vital Western ally in some areas while being viewed with deep suspicion for its nuclear posture and history. The program that guaranteed its security also created a host of new and complex challenges. Today, Pakistan's nuclear program remains a central factor in global security. The tense relationship with India means that South Asia is often described as the most dangerous place on Earth, the one region where a nuclear exchange remains a frighteningly real possibility. The command and control of Pakistan's arsenal, its doctrine of strategic ambiguity, and the development of tactical nuclear weapons are subjects of intense international scrutiny. The stability of the Pakistani state is directly linked to the safety of its nuclear weapons, making its internal politics a matter of global concern for policymakers from Washington to Beijing. Ultimately, Pakistan's nuclear journey is a powerful case study in nuclear proliferation and deterrence theory. It demonstrates how a determined nation, when it believes its survival is at stake, can overcome immense technological and political barriers to acquire the ultimate weapon. The legacy of Bhutto's vow and Khan's daring is an arsenal that provides security, but also carries immense risks. It has locked Pakistan and India in a delicate balance of terror that has so far prevented major war, but has also institutionalized a state of permanent high-stakes confrontation, a reality that continues to shape the destiny of the region and the world.